PresenTense is an Israel-based non-profit organisation promoting an inclusive society, one where diverse communities are equally represented here in the startup nation. As pioneers in the field of social impact in Israel, PresenTense identified gaps in the startup ecosystem and ran an accelerator program to help tackle the underrepresented minorities in this sector. Now, when you break it down, just 9% of Israel's population take part in what we can classify as the startup nation. And if you dig even deeper, only 24% of that 9% are women. And an even smaller number represents the Arab and ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities. They make up only 2% of that 9%. So to tell us more about what PresenTense does, I'm joined by their co-CEO, Khouloud Ayouti. Khouloud, thank you so much for joining us. Now, go ahead and tell us just a little bit deeper what it is that PresenTense does as a non-profit organisation.
Thank you, Sarah. So PresenTense, basically what we do is we make entrepreneurship accessible to the underprivileged communities across this country. Basically, we bring the startup nation to Israel's social and economic peripheries. We run accelerator programs because we believe that the gaps that are made are not because of people not wanting to be a part of the startup nation, it's because that people are not as exposed as the actual beneficiaries of the startup nation. Israel really, a lot of companies here really advocate for diversity, but like you said, the percentages show otherwise. So what we try to do is to expose as many people, as many populations as possible to the notion of the startup nation, to entrepreneurship, because we believe that entrepreneurship is actually the 21st century superpower. It's not that you only become an entrepreneur once you learn how to be about entrepreneurship. It's you gain skills that help you promote also economically and help promote your entire community. So we run programs and accelerators. We work with youth, young adults, and teenagers to help them gain more knowledge about the startup nation and entrepreneurship, and give them an equal opportunity to choose whether or not they're even interested in being a part of it, because even that doesn't really exist.
Now, let's talk about funding, for example. You work very closely with Citibank, who have been helping you get these accelerator programs off the ground and are really helping you work with these communities on a higher level. Talk to me about some of what you've been able to achieve.
So for the last 6 years, we've had an amazing partnership with Citi Foundation, who have now pledged more than $100 million to help youth worldwide to get employment, specifically youth from underprivileged populations. So, it's the same vision, and their funding has really helped us over the last 6 years to run programs. With Citi, we've developed many concepts. One of them is actually working with young adults, but also with teenagers, with a program called the Startup School program, where we work both with teenagers, their parents, and high school teachers and staffs. These are some of the numbers, and like you can see, more than 86% of the teenagers who were exposed to the Startup School program are now really interested in STEM subjects, and 69 will also pursue a bachelor's degrees following the program that we did, and this was only an exposure programming. So Citi really allows us to expose these teenagers and also give them more deep tools about entrepreneurship.
Let's just talk about some of these figures here, for example. What impact and what influence do you have on these kids who are still in school?
So these kids probably will never be exposed to entrepreneurship otherwise. So this program that we give them, I'll give you just an example. We worked in Jaffa, and like you see, we've exposed more than 3,000 students from Jaffa, Tel Aviv, and Haifa, and other places, and we're aiming to do that also in East Jerusalem. But these children would not have otherwise been exposed to anything about the startup nation. I grew up in Jaffa, which is 2 kilometers from North Tel Aviv, and I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship before I began to work at PresenTense in my age. So we also give them this exposure. We also give them opportunities. We take them on tours in high-tech companies. Now it's a little bit more complicated to take them on tours, but we do expose them to the opportunities that they have, the things that they can aspire for, things that are not only your classic being a lawyer or being a physician or maybe just running the family business, but being more innovative, opening their minds to other things, and getting to know more the world that they live in.
Now, we do have to go out soon, but just very briefly, give us one success story of someone who's come out of one of these programs.
Okay, I'll tell you about Hamza, who's amazing. He's a teenager who went through the high school program, the startup school program, and then developed a program for teenagers just like himself in CrossFit training. So he understood that boredom is a huge factor in kids not really doing anything after school. So he developed this CrossFit program where he gave them training, and now he's opening a CrossFit gym with an amazing social business model where people who train there pay for the teenagers to train there for free. So he gives them the opportunity to have something to do after school and develop.
Amazing. Khouloud Ayouti, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
And that is all we have time for this week. Thank you so much for joining us.